Hey guys, how's it going? So I wanted to go ahead and talk about this because I'm still interested in NASCAR for whatever reason, but this is about Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace Jr. In case you weren't aware and didn't see the race the other day, Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace had some problems. And let me just go ahead and preface this video by saying I'm not going to be shitting on Bubba Wallace. So if that's what you were looking for, not gonna happen with me. You can go back and watch some of my older videos about NASCAR drama and see my basic reaction to most of those and understand what kind of person that I am, particularly, and how I look at rougher situations in NASCAR. But I just wanted to go ahead and preface that immediately and be like, hey, I'm not going to be doing that. So let's go ahead and get into the actual video, which I'm probably going to splice in a couple of clips to illustrate my point. But yesterday when I was watching, I did not watch the beginning of the race. I watched the extended highlights and then got really more of a clear picture that I feel like people in the moment, that especially the people that I was watching and hearing them watch the race with, they all forgot what had occurred. But Alex Bowman had qualified basically on the front row. I think he qualified second. And he ended up wrecking in practice. So he had to go to the back. He had to go to a backup car. So he wrecked in practice, had to go to the back. That's really unfortunate. You never want to wreck in practice and destroy your car, especially on this race, which is pretty much the most important race of the season at this point. I usually say that it's Dover, but Dover got moved from the cutoff spot to hold this race. But this is the most important race of the season. This really decides how far you're going to go in the playoffs, because the playoffs are the way that they are now, where we all have to accept it. The playoffs are a gimmick. They suck. They don't award the actual champion at the end of a season, but you have to play to the game of the series, which this is the game of the series. This is the most important race of the series. So, anyway, it's the most important because you can gain the most momentum coming out of it. If you win that race when you felt like your car was shit for the majority of that round, it's the most important race of the season. Because that can propel you forward. That can propel your team forward as well. Like, I can't think of a more important race of the season than that one right there. The only difference is that it's a road course, so you're not really going to be using the notes anymore from a road course, but I digress. I still think it's an important race. So Alex Bowman wrecks in practice, so that really kind of soiled his weekend. He was going to start up near the front. Stage points are way too important now, so he misses out on some stage points. Now, let's get into fucking lap one. My nose. Lap one, we're going into the new chicane, the newly reprofiled chicane, which this chicane is better than last year's chicane, mostly because it's an actual chicane. Like, you have to slow down, you have to stop. It's very well made. It's pretty much the version of the Daytona Roval chicane on the backstretch, except actually created to be that clone because you have to slow the fuck down. Like, the entry to the corner is very tight to the track, and then you have to go very far in to curve back out and around. It's very shallow. So, entry is shallow, then it widens out, then it gets shallow again on the exit where you're barely coming by a safer barrier. So if you wreck in there, it's probably going to hurt. But you have less of a chance of wrecking because you're not gaining and carrying so much fucking speed into it. But I digress. Let's continue. They're coming into the chicane. Alex Bowman had to start near the back, so he's trying to get all that he can get, and I don't think he realized how much you have to slow down at the back, especially with that new chicane. really, it's no fault of his own. He didn't understand how soon he had to brake. I mean, it was one of those things where you're just kind of like, oh shit, I have to brake way harder than I think because there's a bunch of cars in front of me and they're slowing down too. He misjudged it, and he wrecked. He wrecked into the chicane. He had to do a stop and go. He had damage. Um, so, but in the process, he hit Bubba Wallace, and I think Bubba Wallace got a little bit agitated by that. I think that's why that caused a little bit of a stir between them. Plus, this is a rivalry that goes back years at this point. Like 2017 at Texas during a radioactive. If you can find the radioactive from 2017 at Texas, you will hear them talk about each other. Bowman thought Bubba wrecked him in 3 and 4. He didn't. I think that's what started most of this. They just don't like each other, and I think it's for a good reason. They race really hard around each other. They do what they have to do around each other to, they were in a similar part of the field for quite a while. Like, Bowman has really started to turn it up as of recent. But before that, not so much. He was running pretty much around where Bubba would run, except Bubba would be really far back sometimes, or he would be right with him. So they didn't have a lot of experience racing each other, but when they did, it was when they're both hustling. They're both hustlers. They're trying to hustle to the front. They're very similar in that way. But I digress. Let's continue to talk about this. So Bowman wrecks, hits Bubba. I think that pissed Bubba off because Bubba's used to having to run near the back. He understands how it works. I think Bowman does not really understand how that works all that much, but still, point remains is that he hit him and he fucked up his car on lap 1. So there's reason to be moderately upset. And also, here's something that is never really discussed all that much, which is spotters suck. Like, spotters do not tend to tell a driver what had occurred in a wreck when they have the time to, like, to explain what just happened. Like, why did they hit me? Who the fuck hit me? Spotters can really relay that information to their driver to figure out why, and to give their driver some peace of mind as to why this occurred, what the problem was. I'm assuming that did not happen for Bubba. I'm assuming that his spotter did not tell him what happened. I don't know. But if he did, I think he told him a version of it that was pretty accurate, is that Bowman decided that he was going to try really hard going into the first chicane when he's basically at the back. Like, he was basically last. So I don't know why specifically, but like I said, I think the most probable reason is that he just didn't understand how it worked. But I would be pretty upset if I got damage on my car lap 1 because somebody is just deciding to kind of be stupid and not just chill out for a lap or two, let us get spread out, and then you go. Bowman came into that race nervous, is what I'm trying to say. He came in nervous. He came in expecting, I have to go. And all fair play to him. That's exactly what he needed to do, but you caused a little bit of mayhem on lap 1. So you have to take responsibility for that. Then we go to basically the end of the stage 1. Bowman does not pit. He stays out. He needed points. He's in 10th. Then they get caught up lap 1 turn 1 crash. And that just really, makes it to where Bowman is having much harder of a day than he needed to. Like, he needed points. Now he's all the way at the back again because he got wrecked. So understandably so, he's upset. And I get it, but once again, if you don't wreck your car in practice, you don't end up in that situation. You understand? So, once again, the blame falls on Alex Bowman. It falls on nobody else other than Alex Bowman. The things that he got involved with, the lap 1 shit, 110% his fault. He did that. And I think he understood that. I don't think he held any anger over it. He was just like, wow, I was trying to hustle way too hard. It's lap one, you know? Um, but the shit that ended up happening to him in turn one, that wasn't really his fault. But that's what you get more angry at. And I think he started to take out his aggression on the rest of the field. Because after a while, he starts showing up behind Bubba. And listen, Bubba can be kind of a hard ass. And that's why I like him. Like, I am biased. Uh, he was born in my city. I pull for him super fucking hard. I like Bubba Wallace. Like, he's probably one of my favorite race car drivers right now currently, just because of his personality. He's got personality for days. He is not a robot. He is not William Byron. He is not Chase Elliott. He is the complete opposite of those drivers. And listen, he should be in those situations rather than them, personally, in my opinion, because he would do a lot more. I think they're comparable as race car drivers. And I think he deserves it because he's fucking awesome. Like, Bubba Wallace deserves a great ride. He deserves great sponsors. He's fucking incredible. But that's just not how this works. He ended up in the situation that he ended up in. And that's... it's really unfortunate, but that's just how it works sometimes. But Bubba Wallace is not going to move out of your way. Because it's not your job. If you are a NASCAR driver, or if you're a race car driver at all in any series, it is not your job to move out of somebody's way at any point. Okay, but there are some certain instances where you should probably get the fuck out of the way. Prime example, Ryan Newman, Dover, 2017. Or 20... yeah, I think it was 2017. Pretty sure. Chase Elliott was going to win his first race. That would have been his first race win in the Cup Series. And Ryan Newman was trying to stay on the lead lap because that's what he had to do for him to stay within the championship hunt. If somebody would have crashed, he's the first car on the lead lap. He can go in, he can pit, he can take tires, and then he can fly back through the field. And that's what he had to do. He was in that situation. That's what he had to do. He held up Chase Elliott. It fucked Chase Elliott over. Kyle Busch passes him and wins the race. Ryan Newman is the hardest dude to pass in the field. But in that situation, I can see why you're like, hey, get the fuck out of my way, because you'll be the first car one lap down. But that's not as good as being lead lap. Last car on the lead lap. It's not even the same. It's not even in the same equation. So, you know, I understand why he had to do it. Is it right? Not really. But he was clinging on to the last hope that he could because of this shitty point system. The point system is ridiculous. It sucks. It requires you to drive like a fucking idiot. Okay? And it requires you to do shit that otherwise normally you wouldn't do. I don't know if you guys remember like 2011, 2012, 2013 Ryan Newman, but he would race you hard, but by the time that you needed to go, he would let you go. It's just nowadays, under this new point system and the way that this shit works, you are not supposed to do that. Under any circumstance, really. Bowman needed to get by Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace refused. And I think Bubba was still pissed off. I think Bubba was pissed off that, hey, you already fucked up my car on lap 1. I don't want to even fucking deal with you. So he started flipping him off. He started giving him the fucking bird. And I had multiple conversations with people where they were like, that makes you a bitch. That makes you stupid. That means that you deserved to get wrecked on purpose. Listen, I am not in that camp. I don't think you should wreck people on purpose at any point, really. That's just the kind of person that I am. I don't think you should wreck people on purpose. I don't think that there's ever, like, a legitimate time and reason to wreck somebody on purpose unless they did it to you. If somebody wrecks you on purpose, go after them. Don't give a fuck, because that's what they started it. If they start it, you can finish it. Guaranteed. No problem. Okay? But I don't think just because you're getting flipped off that means that you have a reason to go and run somebody the fuck over. I think that makes you a pussy. I think that makes you stupid. And the part that I want to really stress is I need to go to this video to see exactly when this occurred, and I need to see it again, and I'm going to watch it with you at the same time. So let's go ahead and switch to my scene. So let's go ahead. Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, here we go. So I'm watching this. Okay. All right, we got Bubba Wallace has ended up in this position before with Ron Hornaday at Rockingham. Just want to let you know that. So let's go ahead and skip through this. I want to see the replay. So here we go. We're going into the corner. Bowman pushes him into the corner. He's all over him. Now look. Look. I want you to look at this. Bowman was going to I can't understand that. I literally cannot understand that. Bowman was going to have a run coming back onto the oval. Like, I don't know if you understand this track, and I don't know if you understand these cars, but the side draft is so powerful that you can side draft somebody in the middle of the fucking corner on the oval, especially at this track, the way that this is configured. He was going to, if he was to the outside of Bubba Wallace that whole way around the corner, he was going to have the inside line to be able to go past him. And I just don't understand why he felt the need to run him over at this point. Like, you were gonna be able to side draft him and go, more than likely. Like, you had position on him to be able to crinkle the quarter panel like that. And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy that people are okay with that one in specific. Like, Bowman was about to get around him, and he was like, fuck you. And it's like, dude, listen, if you're that much of a baby that somebody battling you hard, because that's the point of racing. The point of racing is to not concede. The point of racing is to continue to hold your position, and you got to figure a way around them. If they're flipping you off, you can be angry. You could have moved him out of the way. Like, listen, you could have moved him out of the way. Like, if you wanted to punt his ass right here, punt him. He'll miss the chicane. He'll have to stop on the front stretch. He didn't hit him anywhere near hard enough to go down into this corner to get him out of the way. He just wanted to fuck with him, and then he shoved him through so far into this portion of the turn that you can see Bubba overdrives it. And that's what really got Bowman to have this door open. The door's open. Bubba is going to lose speed by the time that he comes through here. Bubba has to slow down because he might hit the wall over here. Look, I don't know if y'all understand how close they are to the wall, but there's probably like 2.5 feet between Bubba and this wall right here. And then you see, I mean, I don't get it. And then we're going to fast forward at this point because Bubba said on the radio, I'm going to wreck him, I'm going to go get him, whatever. He had a chance to go get him at one point. Oh, there's actually an onboard. Look at how much he closes up in the braking zone. And instead of, like, you know, pushing him, like, I would have been on his ass right here. Right here. And I would have been pushing him through the corner. I would have used him as brakes. So he would have had to go straight on and then I can go. Because he has to stop. Or even if he doesn't stop in the chicane, when he gets back to the front stretch, he's got to stop in the restart zone. Because that's how they have it set up. If you blow the chicane, you got to go back to the front stretch and sit there, or you have to do a stop and go. So that would have been a way to fuck him over legally and fairly. Like, NASCAR was not going to penalize him for moving him off into the chicane. I guarantee it, because NASCAR does not, like, legitimately, what's the word? Steward the race. They don't care. They have it self-policing as much as humanly possible. They'll tell somebody when they fucked up. But here, shoves him through there. just to let you see it again. Pushes him here, pushes him here. Now he's got it wide open. He can go. And yeah, he just decides to turn him. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Because look, man, you were gonna have it. Look at your front end. Like, that is pussy shit. And the angle of aggression of it, too, is what really bothers me. Like, he was like, I'm completely done. And it's like, dude, if you're so worried about getting around him, if you're so worried about getting to the front, you wouldn't compromise your car at the same time. That could have blown your fucking left front tire. You could have blown your left front tire, went into the oval portion of the track, and then completely blown your left front tire, and you would have been hard in the fucking wall, and your race would have been done. You're stupid. And I find it hilarious that people are trying to defend this fucking douchebag for doing that shit. Because look, dude, there's no need for it. You were gonna have a run to go and pass him. You had already gotten it done. What was the point? What, since you bumped him out of the way, you're afraid he's gonna wreck you in the oval? At that point, you deserve it. He knew that this was his last effort to make sure that he didn't get fucking destroyed. And I fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. Seriously. And then we're gonna go ahead, fast forward through the rest of this crap. I don't even need to see it. Let's see if they have Bubba's radio on here. They don't. Okay, so, look. After the race, Bubba went up to Alex Bowman. We'll find that too, because fuck it. And he threw water in his face. Look, if it were me, if it would have been me in that situation where I'm coming to find you at the end of the race, I'm more than likely coming to beat your ass. Like, that's how I am. That's who I am as a person. If you fuck with me enough, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. Like, and it becomes a personal problem with me, where I just want to beat the fuck out of you. But that's me, okay? There's other people in this life that don't feel that way, aren't confrontational, whatever. I don't know how your life took place when you were younger. I don't know what you had to deal with, but like, when people fuck with me, I square up, and that's the way that Bubba Wallace is. He walked over there full well expecting Bowman to be standing up, and he was going to talk to him, and then he was going to bust his ass. Because if Bowman would have sat there and been like, well, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, Bubba would have beat his ass. Like, and that's not a favorable fight for Alex Bowman. Like, Bubba will beat the fuck out of you. Like, Bubba doesn't fuck around. And he knows that. I don't think that... I don't want to sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist, but I think that Alex Bowman was not in as bad of shape as he made himself out to be at the end of the race. I think he was sitting down on the ground because he knew at the end of the race somebody was going to show the fuck up, because he did a couple of stupid fucking things during that race. Anyhow, Bubba Wallace comes towards him. He splashes fucking water in his face. And that's it. Did you see the look on his face, by the way? He was like, oh shit. The second that he shows up, he's like, uh-oh. He was like, what do you got to say? He looks scared. And then Bubba talks to him for a second. He opens up that bottle, splashes him in the fucking face, and there's Jeff Gordon along with it too. And Jeff Gordon throws his hands up like, what the hell? It's water, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you've ever been splashed with water, but you'll live. And he could have done so much worse. He could have shoved people out of the way. He could have picked that motherfucker up, and he could have beat the fuck out of him. But that's not what he did. Personally, me, I wouldn't have been able to control myself. I would have been very upset. Because the way that Alex Bowman wrecked him was unlike anything that I've ever seen in this sport, really, aside from Jeff Gordon wrecking Clint Boyer. Where, look, dude, It's not my job to get out of your way. Find your way around me. If you're mad about it, that's fine. It doesn't constitute you wrecking me. That's not a fair way to go about it. Um it just I I wouldn't have been able to control myself. I would have tried to kick him in his face. Like and that because I'm trashy. Like when I'm angry as fuck, I'm trashy. I will beat your ass. Like and it doesn't matter how I get it done. It's the fact that I did it and I got my anger out and then you got to deal with it. But Bubba Wallace is a better man here because he's got people that that were he's got sponsors. The team wouldn't fucking like it. NASCAR would suspend him. See, for me, thinking outside, I would be like, I'm gonna beat the absolute piss out of him because I have no strings attached. If I had strings attached, I would probably do the same thing that he did there. But if we're on the street, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you. Because that's what it comes down to, is the fact that Bubba Wallace thought it was fucking egregious. And it was. It really is. And the hypocrisy of NASCAR fans is quite fucking high. And I find it ridiculous every time I see it. People like Joey Logano, people like Brad Keselowski, have been fucked with their entire career. And they didn't do anything about it because they were like, oh, you gotta take your bumps. And that's what NASCAR drivers have said for years. Like, if you do something and a experienced driver comes up to you and starts telling you you're a fucking idiot, you did this, this, and that wrong, or they wreck you on track, you gotta take it. No, you don't. Listen, I don't know if it's because it's boomer logic that has gotten people this caught up in how this works, or like what the deal is, but you do not have to respect somebody when they don't respect you. And it's clear, both of these dudes do not respect each other. At all. In any way. Like, they don't respect each other. Why I'm bringing this up is, you do not have to respect somebody when they don't respect you. The boomer humor that has been NASCAR racing and the way that they think that it works does not work that way anymore. I do not have to respect you because you're a higher up to me. Or, I don't have to put up with your bullshit because you've been around for an extra few years. Like, that's not how it works. And I think Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski are prime candidates because they're hated for doing what they've done on track. But look at their history and look at their past and look at how they've been raced. They've gotten raced like dog shit. Complete dog shit. They've been raced like shit their entire career. And when they start doing it to the drivers that have been around for a few years, everybody acts like the script has been flipped and that they were doing it to those drivers the whole fucking time. And it's like, no. Brad Keselowski started feuding with Denny Hamlin in the Nationwide Series. You want to know why? Because Denny was driving him like shit in a series that he's running for points and running for championships and trying to impress cup teams and cup owners to be like, hey, hire me. Denny Hamlin has already gotten it set. He's fine. He doesn't need to race those races in a technicality. So leave the motherfucker alone and let him go do his own shit. If you're gonna pass him, you gotta do it as clean as humanly possible because he's a regular. You don't see Kyle Busch in 2019 going out there and racing some fucking Xfinity regular like a dick. You never see it. And I don't think I've ever really seen it aside from Brad Keselowski because he had already started that shit with Denny Hamlin. You know? Joey Logano, he was getting run over by Kevin Harvick in the Nationwide Series almost every week. At one point. And Joey got fucking sick and tired of it. Joey got tired of it and said, fuck off. He got wrecked at Pocono and that was the last straw. And he was like, I'm gonna talk shit in this interview. Because this guy has run me over. I've kept my mouth shut. I've tried to take my bumps. And it doesn't fucking work anymore. I'm tired of it. And then when he left Joe Gibbs Racing, I think he had a bitter taste in his mouth at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think he understood that he was getting the shit end of the stick in terms of equipment, So he went to Penske. Um, and the second that he started getting raced like shit by Denny Hamlin, he said, I'm not going to put up with it. I'm not going to put up with it because I've already dealt with this shit. So he went up at Bristol, tried to talk to him. His crew acted like they were going to beat Joey's ass. And then Denny was sitting there saying, I don't usually see Joey, so he's not really a factor. And it's like, oh, I'll show you a factor. So he showed up at Auto Club, had an amazing car. He was great all race long. So was Denny Hamlin. And they were racing like a motherfucker. They raced hard. And Joey made no bones about it and was like, I'm going to race this motherfucker as hard as I can. And there's a reason. Denny Hamlin was starting to treat him like shit. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. And this is another instance of somebody treating somebody like shit and then putting their foot down and saying, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And this is the exact reason why. Because if you don't, people will keep taking advantage of you. And he knows that shit. Most of these drivers now know that shit, and you want to know why? Brad and Joey. Perfect examples of people who took shit and then started putting their foot down and saying, no, you're not going to fucking disrespect me like that. You're just not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. There was a reason why I ranted right there about that shit, and it's because I don't want to see Bubba Wallace go down that same road of getting shit on. And people making him out to be a devil and making him out to be an asshole and that he drives like shit and all this dumb fucking bullshit. Because, listen here, boys and girls, that's not the fucking case. Bubba Wallace is usually pretty fucking good about giving people what they want when he's slow. Pretty good about it. This time around, he didn't want to do it. I think he was upset. And rightfully so. You got damage on the first fucking lap. I'd be pretty fucking pissed about it too when this dumbass doesn't know how to ride around at the back of the fucking pack where he got himself put. So it's not his job to get out of your fucking way at that point. Sorry that you're running for a championship. Hey, guess what? Alex Bowman's not going to win the championship if I'm being honest with you. If I'm being 100, he's not going to win the title. Not even close. He's not good enough. He's in the 88 car, first of all. I don't know if you've noticed, but the distribution of Hendrick equipment has never been fair at any point. Never. There's always somebody getting the short end of the fucking stick. The 88 car gets the short end of the stick most of the time. Sorry to say it. It used to be the 5 car. The 5 car doesn't exist anymore. I think they tried to redistribute the team and the financial portions of the team and engineers and all that shit more equally after Casey Kane left, because they realized that it was fucked up. Because it's very clear that Casey Kane was a great race car driver. He was just getting the butt end of the equipment. But I can guarantee you this right now: Alex Bowman would not win the championship. And he got himself in that position starting this fucking race. And I find it wholly fucking ridiculous that he acted like that. I find it ridiculous because I don't know if you knew, but you don't own the racetrack. I don't have to get out of your way just because you're upset. I'll flip you off all day fucking long, bud. If you want to move me out of the way, move me. But if you wreck me, you have to expect that somebody's going to come up at the end of the race and try to beat your fucking ass for it. Because it's egregious. It was not worth it. It was not worth it. And if you would have been standing up at the end of that race, he would have beat your fucking ass. And there would have been a reason for it. This was 110% reasonable. Like, he handled this pretty well, Bubba Wallace. Handled it pretty fucking well. If it would have been me, I probably wouldn't have handled it well. I probably would have made a fucking scene. I would have tried to pick you up by your fucking shirt collar like a 1940s fucking comedy and smack you around like you're a little fucking bitch. Because you are. You acted like a fucking buffoon. That's just how I feel about it. If people disagree, I think you're pretty fucking stupid. And I think you don't understand historically what happens to great race car drivers when they just bend over and let other drivers fuck them in the ass. Because it has happened multiple times. I brought up Brad and Joey because those are the ones that I feel the most passionate about. But there are plenty of other drivers that have had that done to him. Kyle Busch had it done to him. Kevin Harvick had it done to him. Tony Stewart had it done to him. Jimmy Johnson had it done to him. There's a lot. And they stop letting people fuck them in the ass one way or another. It depends on whether you want to be loud about it or you want to be Jimmy Johnson about it. Perfect example. Jimmy Johnson used to talk shit, used to ask team owners to fire drivers after they did something fucking stupid that put him at risk and put his season at risk and put his life at risk. He stopped doing that. He stopped worrying about it. He was like, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do it my way. And that's fine. That's the point, is that all these drivers put their foot down one way or another. That was Bubba Wallace putting his foot down, saying, I'm not going to fucking deal with it. I'm not going to take that shit. And kudos to him. That's exactly what he should have done. Exactly what he should have done. And people who disagree with that are fucking stupid. And you don't understand how NASCAR works. And you historically don't get how this shit functions. And that's the point of this video. So if you liked it, you can subscribe, you can like the video, you can do whatever you want. Share it around. See if I give a shit.